Steve Jobs receives a lot of credit for accomplishing the incredible things at Apple, but we all forgot the legend who developed the Apple I, Steve Wozniak. Welcome to Apple Podcast. All I do over here is post videos about Apple answering your questions. In this video, we'll be seeing why Steve Wozniak left Apple. Well, technically, Steve Wozniak never left Apple. He still remains an employee to this day and he receives a $50 paycheck every week. But practically, his presence and decision making power over the company was given up in 1985 by himself. That was a very big deal considering that he was the one who created Apple I, the first computer created by Apple. This computer simply had a plug and play connectivity with keyboards and television sets. Wozniak wasn't the one who got the idea of making money through these products, but instead it was Steve Jobs who got this idea, and the money they made from Apple I has led them to the creation of the improved version of the Apple I, which is the Apple II. Now, this Apple II was again designed and engineered by Steve Wozniak, and its greatest technical achievements was its 8-slot expansion, which was surprisingly powered by just 2 chips. But Jobs didn't like this idea. He told that make this computer with just 2 slots. All you need is a printer and a modem. Wozniak refused to do this as he himself wanted as much expandability as possible and he thought about the others who wanted more. Wozniak felt that intentionally limiting Apple II's capabilities was not right, and he said that if the computer didn't ship with 8 slots, he would take his computer and walk away. Jobs eventually relented, and the Apple II went on to become one of the most successful computers. This gave Apple's annual sales a hike from $775,000 to $118 million. Wozniak believed in a totally open source of computers, whereas Jobs believed in a closed one, and that is exactly why Wozniak eventually left his leadership position at Apple. As Apple's products became more closed off, Wozniak became more frustrated with the company's direction. When they were creating the Apple III, Jobs imposed arbitrary limitations to the product that Wozniak opposed. Jobs insisted that the computer have no fan or air vents, which required the use of an aluminum base to dissipate heat. But then manufacturing aluminum required the design to be finalized before the actual motherboard. After the design was ready, it turned out that the motherboard was very too small to fit all the necessary components in it. This problem required an engineering workaround that wasn't proven to be reliable, but due to time constraints, the product shipped regardless of its questionable quality. Wozniak looked back at the computer with discontent. He said that there was way too short time frame in manufacturing and development of the computer. The design of the Apple III had long since been set in concrete, so they had a certain size logic board to fit in. But then Apple swapped out this logic board, which then caused many problems like the chips that didn't fit in there. There were a million problems that you would take care of when you do your pre-production and pilot run. Basically, customers were shipped the pilot run. All of this were said by Steve Wozniak. And he was also ended up being proven right. With Apple III suffering from countless hardware issues like overheating disk slot chips, melted disks, short circuits, and component failures. The solution given by Apple to reseat disk slot chips was to tilt the front of their computer 6 inches off the desk and simply drop it. This also severely damaged their brand reputation. But Wozniak felt that they could recover with their next computer, the Macintosh. Steve Wozniak was the one who was leading the development of the Macintosh until 1981, when he had experienced the tragic airplane crash that left him with severe face and head injuries. Due to this accident, Wozniak couldn't join Apple for 2 years. He came back in 1983 to help with product development, but Jobs had already taken over the Macintosh product and implemented some of his signature touches, like a fanless cooling system and a completely closed design. Customers had to buy special screwdrivers to remove the plastic case. Now again, Wozniak said that the original Macintosh failed under Jobs. It wasn't until he left that it became a success. According to the sales number, Wozniak was proved right again one more time. By 1985, almost a year later, the Apple II still generated around 85% of Apple's sales. Despite this, Jobs failed to mention or include Apple II team in events and meetings. And this was something that frustrated Wozniak. So in early 1985, Wozniak left Apple for good. He said that Apple had been going in the wrong direction for the past 5 years and that he missed the fun of the early days. He enjoyed engineering, not management. He believed that Apple was preventing him from being the person he wanted to be. After leaving the company, Wozniak developed his own company, CL9, where he first developed a programmable universal remote. And he also fulfilled his lifelong goal of becoming an educator by teaching computer class to students from 5th to ninth grade. So that is the reason for Steve Wozniak to leave Apple. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll meet you in another video.